Greed blinds even the wisest hearts and often leads them to their own downfall. Long ago, in a flourishing kingdom surrounded by golden fields and mighty rivers, there lived a king celebrated for his wisdom and compassion. His reign brought prosperity to every corner of the land. Yet within the walls of his grand palace, his heart was restless. The cause of his unease was his only son, Prince Arjun, a young man of noble spirit but still unwed. Suitors came from faraway lands. Kings and princesses sent gifts and proposals, yet none seemed destined for him. One evening, the king sat in his private chambers, staring out at the stars. His most trusted counselor, Mahadev, entered quietly and noticed his heavy expression. "Your Majesty," he asked with a bow, "why do shadows linger on your face when your kingdom glows with fortune?" The king sighed deeply. "Mahadev, the world knows my son is brave and wise, but his future weighs on me. I wish for him a destiny that will not only keep our kingdom safe, but also bring him greatness. Yet I cannot see the path ahead." Mahadev's eyes glistened with calculation. Outwardly, he smiled warmly. "Perhaps, Maharaj, the heavens themselves hold the answer. Allow me to study the prince's horoscope." The king nodded, desperate for guidance. When Mahadev read the celestial charts, his hands trembled. The stars revealed an extraordinary fate. The prince was destined to marry a woman of unmatched virtue, and together they would forge an empire greater than any that had ever existed. Whoever united with Prince Arjun would share in his glory and change the world. But as Mahadev absorbed the revelation, a dangerous thought crept into his mind. Why should this glory belong to another? If I could secure this fortune for myself or my bloodline, I would be the one to reign supreme. His heart, once devoted to service, now throbbed with greed. Masking his intentions, he turned to the king and said gravely, "Maharaj, there is a shadow upon this destiny. While your son's future shines brightly, his marriage could bring great misfortune to your royal line. The stars warn of calamity should he marry without divine intervention." The king's face turned pale. "Then what must be done?" Mahadev lowered his voice. "Prepare a grand chest, fill it with jewels and send it down the sacred river. The river will carry it to the one truly worthy of your son's hand. Destiny will decide." Though torn, the king trusted Mahadev's counsel. Soon a grand chest was filled with treasures, and within it was placed a token of the prince's fate, a scroll inscribed with his horoscope. The chest was set adrift on the shimmering river under the moon's silver gaze. As the currents carried it downstream, far away in a small riverside village, a humble woodcutter named Dev was returning home after a long day's work. He noticed the chest gliding toward the banks, sparkling under the starlight. With effort, he hauled it ashore. "What treasure could this be?" he whispered, prying it open. Inside, his eyes widened. Gold and jewels spilled out, but among them lay the sacred scroll. Curiosity led him to read the message, though he could scarcely understand its divine markings. At that moment, a band of soldiers arrived, sent by the prince himself to follow the river's course. They seized the chest and brought it to the royal palace. When Prince Arjun laid his eyes on the scroll, his heart beat faster. "This is the mark of destiny," he said firmly. "The one who first opened this chest has been chosen by fate." He ordered the guards to find the woodcutter and bring him with honor to the palace. The woodcutter, bewildered but humble, stood before the prince. Bowing low, he stammered, "I am no nobleman, only a poor laborer. I do not understand why fate has brought me here." The prince smiled. "It is not titles or riches that bind destiny, but the purity of one's heart. If the heavens chose you to find this chest, then you are part of the path laid for me." Meanwhile, Mahadev burned with fury and jealousy. His scheme had failed, but his greed had not yet been extinguished. That very night, he ordered his apprentices to steal the chest and deliver it secretly to his chambers. "No matter what noise you hear from within, he instructed coldly. "Do not open the door until I say so." Alone in his room, Mahadev opened the chest with trembling anticipation. But instead of golden scrolls, a piercing roar filled the air. Out leapt a lion, placed there by the prince who had grown suspicious of Mahadev's behavior. The beast lunged, and Mahadev cried out in terror. Outside, his students heard his screams but remembered his command. "Do not open the door." The lion's fury ended the tale of Mahadev that night. His greed, which once whispered promises of glory, had delivered him into ruin. The next morning, Prince Arjun welcomed the woodcutter into the royal household, honoring him not as a servant, but as a brother chosen by destiny. Together, they forged bonds of trust and unity that strengthened the kingdom more than any wealth or deceit ever could. This story reminds us of an eternal truth. Greed and deception lead only to downfall, no matter how clever or powerful one believes they are. Mahadev's hunger for fortune blinded him to loyalty and honor, destroying the very life he sought to enrich. In contrast, Prince Arjun's humility and faith in destiny allowed him to rise, not through manipulation, but through integrity and trust. True greatness does not come from seizing what belongs to others, but from walking with honesty, courage, and faith. What is meant for us will arrive in its time, often in ways we least expect. And when it comes, it is righteousness, not greed, that allows us to truly keep it.